Welcome back to the Breakfast Show 2. Joining me this morning is Derieck Hodges from Anchor Point Financial Wealth, here to share some cybersecurity tips ahead of the 2023 tax season that I'm sure people have already started to prepare for that. But cybersecurity is so important because there are hackers out there that are, trying to just get your money or get your information.
Absolutely. Scammers are not going to let a good opportunity go to waste, and they know we're busy. They know we're kind of running fast to just kind of live life, and now we're having to stop and do something that none of us are real excited to do is, get our taxes together, and they're going to use that kind of hurried behavior to try to exploit us and manipulate us into kind of doing things that are harmful to ourselves.
Mm-hmm. And so then what's the best advice that you have for people who may be filing their own taxes and they don't necessarily have someone helping them? I could imagine that those people probably are more susceptible to those cybersecurity hackers.
It could be. Here's first advice would be, I'd love for people to be able to get their tax returns filed quickly. Mm-hmm. Now that's not always easily done, but if they can, you can also maybe get ahead of people who are trying to file tax returns under your Social Security number to try to generate fake refunds. So that's one thing. Another thing you can do is ask the IRS to give you a PIN, sort of like a dual factor authentication. So when you file your return, you have to have that PIN. That we think is a good idea as well. But I think the biggest thing we all have to be alarmed about is the amount of scammers who are calling, trying to impersonate the IRS, saying, hey, we're here. If you don't pay something that you owe, we're going to incarcerate you, deport you, suspend your license. All those kind of things, you have to be on alert because they're really good at doing that.
And so say I were to get that call, how, in your best advice, how should I handle that call? Should I talk to them? Should I just immediately hang up? Do I call the IRS and say, hey, someone's impersonating you? What do I do?
Yeah, the IRS is really great about communicating this. They send letters almost 100% of the time. So the IRS usually will not call. They will not use social media. They will not text message you. So you can know pretty with a lot of certainty that it is not them if they're calling, doing any of those other things.
Right.
You're usually going to get a letter. They might call you. They're not going to do those other things. And what they will certainly not do is ask you to make a payment online using Bitcoin, using prepaid cash, none of that stuff. They're not going to ask for a credit card number, any of that.
So I feel like, people really need to use some common sense and kind of really think, what is the IRS actually doing and versus what these people are doing and how they're trying to scam people. And for people who are filing their taxes, is there a way that a person can tell right off the bat if they are being scammed? Like, say someone already used their number, their Social Security number to file. Is there a way to tell that?
Yeah, usually you can't submit your return electronically. So when you go to do yours e-file, it'll just bounce back, and then you probably need to be alarmed right then. And so then you typically have to go through a process of filing a paper return. And so that's the unfortunate part, is something that's not already a lot of fun to do gets a little more complicated. So it's really good to have, all of these things, kind of in your tool set to do. But ultimately, some of these things you can't really protect yourself from. I mean, the fraudsters are exploiting a system we don't really control.
And would you say that, I know a lot of people are people who want to do things on their own and they like to file their own taxes and not have to get someone to prepare it for them, but would you say it may be best to have someone do your taxes that is a professional rather than do it yourself?
Yeah, I think generally a tax professional is a good idea. However, there's a lot of people with very straightforward tax returns, and a lot of the tax software is very robust. And the advantage maybe of those situations, self-filing, is you can get those in really quickly. A lot of tax preparers are very busy right now. They're working lots of hours. And so some people might be good candidates for self-filing, and they can get it done quickly.
And I think something to think about is that humans, we, the people that are filing our taxes, we're not the only ones that are susceptible to cybersecurity. It also are the companies like TurboTax. Their company could have a cybersecurity threat that could eventually, end up those hackers sharing information about people. So I guess it's important to do your research on who you're going through, what software you're using to do your taxes.
Completely, and it's a great reminder, strong passwords, two-factor authentication, and then freeze your credit reports. I think freezing your credit reports is a must in today's society.
Yeah, well, Derek, that is all such great information for some cybersecurity tips ahead of this tax season. Thank you, Derek, for joining us. We always appreciate it. We'll be right back.